And in that hat, in the Stupid Again hat, I had little microchips. You know, the SDG cards that you use for your camera and stuff. I had two of them in the hat, in the liner, you know, because it was a baseball hat, in the folds of the hat, with pictures, with movies of me, and it went up in the box. You know, it was like a poison pill. And I did the same thing without the hat. I did the same thing to ABC News. They're on, I think, 71st Street or something in Central Park West. But look, I get around. You know, I worked in the city for years. I know my way around. You know, and I go in Times Square. Times Square, you know, it's right down the block. Got a big sign, 99-cent pizza. Well, it's not 99 cents anymore. It's $3. You know, I guess they didn't look to the future when they put the sign up. You know, so as for a little cheese pizza, you know, it's not a big pie, not a big slice like you get in a usual place. I don't know, depending where you live. But I go there, I get two slices. I park in the fire hydrant spot because it's always open, and it's right in front of the door of the pizza place. You know, and I sit there and I crank my music. And you know my music taste, I'm sure some of you. And I crank my music and I sit there and I eat my pizza, you know. And then I get out, I close up my car. And in that particular area, Times Square, you know, I walk around and I don't go far. I don't have to even go a block away. And I look for homeless people and I'm like, you want a piece of pizza? You want a piece of pizza? I'm like, come on. I used to buy the pizza and have them put it in a box, and I would walk around and try to hand it out, but they weren't going for that. You know, they didn't know if I poisoned it or how, and it was bad mojo. So I learned, and I'm like, bring them up to the pizza counter, I'm like, pick how many you want. You want a soda? I get them all and pay for it. You know, I live on Social Security. I don't have a lot of money, but this is what I do. You know. And I try. I haven't done it in a while. I don't have a car right now, so my car is in the junkyard. Anyway, on my way into the city, I stop on 2nd Avenue, about 40th, and there's a 7-Eleven there, and I get a coffee. And this guy was sleeping on a blanket right outside the door of the 7-Eleven, and he had a blanket over his head, and he had a blanket on the cement. He was laying on the blanket, and he had a blanket over him, and he had a bread bowl standing up right on the blanket by his head. I don't know if it was full or not, but I saw the color of it. I think it was blue. I don't know if it was blue or red. So anyway, I go inside with my coffee cup, and I get my coffee, and I pick out the biggest, whether it was blue or red, I pick out the biggest blue or red Red Bull I could find in 7-Eleven. I go to the counter, I buy it. Red Bull's expensive, $8 for that shit. And I walk outside. I didn't tap him on the shoulder, you know. I just put the Red Bull on his blanket, you know. Figured when he woke up, he'd be surprised. You know, well, it didn't take long. I got like 5 feet away from him, and this other guy was sitting on the curb, and they knew each other, you know. And he runs over to his friend and he starts waking him up. And he's like, what? I'm walking away. I didn't stick around. I was going to my car. I'm like, you gotta get to your car quick, otherwise your car won't be there. But I heard him say, Jesus support you a Red Bull. Yo, Jesus support you a Red Bull. I started cracking up. I was like, I was having fun. I didn't do it for that, you know. I was trying to be nice. That's all. Can't even be nice, you know. Every good deed, no good deed goes unpunished. You know, it's a horrible word, but you know, more true than not. As I'm learning from doing this.